I said good morning to all our viewers around the world. This morning, 11th of July 2023. My name is Ige or Lalekon. And in the studio, I want to thank God my colleague is back on his feet. Morire Rabila, you are welcome.
It's been a God's grace missing out for some episodes and possibly not seeing me on the screen. I want to say a big thank you to my colleague Ige and others behind the scene. Thank you for supporting and staying beside me when I needed you guys. It's going to be a wonderful ride this morning. My name is Morire Rabila Lawal.
I'm going through the daily review this morning from the daily newspaper this morning. I have with me Vanguard newspaper, the Nigerian Tribune, and the Nation newspaper.
I have the Punch newspaper with me as expected. And on the first rider, I'm having fuel smuggling persists in borders despite subsidy removal, custom boards claim.
And from the Vanguard newspaper, alleged abuse of office, court fixed October 17 for case against Malami.
Lagos airport runway lights stolen, 7 suspended.
Corruption's ugliest phase was under Buhari, says Koka.
EcoBank asked FBN to reject Otudeko's share accusation.
And from the Nigerian Tribune, federal government to double government revenue without imposing extra taxes. And that is according to Adedeji, Special Advisor on Revenue.
I didn't close Aso Rock Chapel, says First Lady.
Tinubu back in Abuja from Guinea-Bissau ECOWAS Summit.
Students no longer believe they can pass without cheating, loots psychologists.
And from the Nation newspaper, Obasanjo lashes lawmaker for fixing own pay.
Businessman tackles bank over 5.9 million naira unauthorized withdrawal.
Tinubu targets 30 trillion revenue in 3 years.
Alright, another one again. Family demand justice as power-drunk vigilantes shoots Abuja orphans.
And taking you through the newspaper for the day in details is from the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Alleged abuse of office, court fixed October 17 for case against Malami. A High Court of the Federal Capital Territory yesterday deferred hearing on a case instituted against the immediate past Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Mr. Abubakar Malami's son, for allegedly abusing his office. Justice Oluyemisi Adelaja adjourned the case for definite hearing, even as he directed the service of all the necessary court papers on the ex-AGF Malami's son to enable him to enter his defense in the matter. He further directed that a proof of service of the suit and hearing notice on Malami should be made available to the court. The suit is seeking an order to compel the erstwhile AGF to pay 1 billion naira as damages to an international businessman and property developer, Mr. Sili Osekwe. The plaintiff in the legal action he instituted through his team of lawyers led by Mr. Victor Giwa told the court that the former AGF, using his office arm twisted him to give out 2 units of 3-bedroom flat in one of his properties situated at Makongi Close, Mataima, Abuja to a civil servant, Mrs. Asabe Waziri, and to the rider, alleged abuse of office, court fixes October 17 for case against Malami.
And my first take, the acting Controller General of the Nigeria Customs Service, Adewale Adeniyi, on Monday, vowed a heavy clampdown on oil thieves, insisting that the nation cannot afford to let saboteurs take over our economy. Adeniyi, who said there were still cases of premium motor spirit, popularly called petrol, at Nigeria's border stations despite the removal of subsidy on the commodity, said the agency had adopted new border patrol strategies to close in on oil thieves. He made a disclosure on the sidelines of a sensitization workshop on the Nigeria Customs Service Act 2023 for management staff of the NCS in Abuja. Adeniyi spoke as the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited on Monday said it intercepted a suspected Cameroon-bound vessel with a cargo of crude oil on board, which the liters found on it is 800,000 liters stolen crude oil. The rider again, fuel smuggling persists in borders despite subsidy removal, custom balls.
And from the Vanguard, corruption's ugliest phase was under Buhari, says Koka. The Bishop of the Catholic Diocese of Sokoto, Matthew Azan Kuka, said yesterday Nigerians witnessed the worst phase of corruption under the last administration of President Muhammadu Buhari. He also lamented the fact that the country currently shared its sovereignty with bandits and terrorists. In view of the pervasive insecurity in Nigeria, Kuka spoke as human rights lawyers. Femi Falana-San cautioned President Bola Ahmed Tinubu against sending wrong signal in his anti-corruption fight, stressing that some of those who have visited presidential villa in recent times are currently being tried for looting. This is even as former President Olusegun Obasanjo noted that the nation's democracy is not delivering dividends to the people, just as elder statesman Ariafe Babalola's son suggested that sitting judges should not be allowed to preside over election tribunal. Kuka, in his keynote speech at the 60th Call to Bar anniversary celebration of legal icon Ariafe Babalola in Ado-Ekiti, Ekiti State, noted that tough corruption did not start under the last administration. It amplified it in moral, financial, and other terms. And from the rider, corruption's ugliest phase was under Buhari, says Koka.
Unknown persons have allegedly carted away the recently reinstalled artificial lightning systems at the domestic runway 1836 length of Murtala Mohammed Airport. Information gathered that the disappearance of the approach lightning systems had raised security concerns in Nigeria's busiest airport. According to a source who spoke on condition of anonymity, those who carted away the lightning system took advantage of the closure of the runway for over 3 months. The source alleged that some fan workers connived with outsiders to steal the airport lightning equipment. The criminal took advantage of the closure to commit the crime. I cannot give the actual worth of the theft, but almost all the lightning was removed. The permanent secretary came around to see for himself the huge damage done. A lot of fan officials have been suspended, the source confirmed. And the rider from the Punch, Lagos Airport runway lights stolen, 7 suspended.
And from the Nigerian Tribune, federal government to double government revenue without imposing extra taxes. Adedeji, Special Advisor on Revenue. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu Special Advisor Revenue, Zach Adedeji, has disclosed that the administration's plan to increase Nigerians' revenue without imposing extra taxes. As part of the path to achieve this feat, Adedeji also revealed that Tinubu's administration will unify revenue collecting agencies like the Federal Inland Revenue Service and Nigerian Customs Service. Adedeji explained while appearing on a live interview with Channels Television Politics Today that with the annual revenue that is currently less than 15 trillion naira, the current administration needs to increase the nation's revenue not through taxation but by addressing indisciplines in the national spending and technological monitoring revenue collection when agencies like First Inland Revenues and Nigerian Customs are harmonized. And to the rider, federal government to double government revenue without imposing extra tax. Adedeji.
Alright, moving on from my side of story, EcoBank has urged First Bank Holdings to reject the acquisition of 4.7 billion shares by a former chairman of the bank, Dr. Obasanjo. The bank raised the alarm in a letter written by its legal counsel, Kunle Ogumba, an associate, in which it stated that the business magnate, through his affiliated entities, owed the bank 13.5 billion naira. The letter dated July 7th and signed by the principal partner of the law firm, Oludari Amusho, said the bank had instituted several lawsuits against Oni Group Limited, Siloam Global Services Limited, Anchorage Leisures Limited, Honeywell Flour Mills PLC, and Dr. Obasanjo at the Federal High Court, Lagos. According to the letter made available, the legal tussle between Otudeko and the bank was in view of recouping the debts owed by the highlighted business entities. And the rider again is coming. EcoBank asked FBN to reject Otudeko's share acquisition.
And still through the Nigerian Tribune, Tinubu back in Abuja from Guinea-Bissau ECOWAS Summit. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on Monday returned to Abuja after attending the 63rd Ordinary Section of the Authority of Head of State and Government of the ECOWAS Economic Community of West African States (ECOWAS) on Sunday in Guinea-Bissau. His aircraft touched down at the presidential wing of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport at about 6:30 p.m. On the other hand, to receive him were his chief of staff to the president, Femi Gbajabiamila, former governor of Kebbi State, Abubakar Atiku Bagudu, former governor of Jigawa State, Abubakar Badru, and former governor of Kano State, Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, among others officials. The ECOWAS meeting, which was the first for Tinubu since becoming president, saw him being unanimously chosen as the chairman of the sub-region body. Dele Alake, special advisor to the president, had observed that Tinubu's endorsement signaled the trust and confidence reposed in him by his counterpart. He said Tinubu, who is the latest entrant into the exclusive club of head of state in West Africa, enthusiastically accepted the honor on behalf of Nigeria with a solemnly pledge to bear the responsibility of the office and run an inclusive administration of the regional organization. And to the rider, Tinubu back in Abuja from Guinea-Bissau ECOWAS Summit.
The First Lady, Mrs. Oluremi Tinubu, has faulted claims that she closed the Aso Rock Chapel. Mrs. Tinubu, a former senator, said, contrary to report, that the chapel is open and holds weekly fellowship. A Twitter user with a username at Veronique Naomi had alleged that the First Lady ordered the closure of the chapel. She claimed that her directive for the closure was because some unnamed persons did not support her husband, President Bola Tinubu, during the presidential election in February 2023. But in a statement signed by our newly appointed Special Assistant on Media, Busola Kukoyi, the First Lady clarified that their claims were false. The statement read, "Our attention has been drawn to a story making the rounds on social media about the purported closure of the Aso Rock Chapel by the First Lady of Nigeria, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, OONCON. We wish to state categorically that this is a fabrication and totally false representation of the true situation, as the First Lady at no time gave such directive that the chapel be shut and the keys handed over to Her Excellency. Presently, there are weekly fellowships going on at the chapel." And the writer again, from the Punch, "I didn't close Aso Rock Chapel," says First Lady.
And from the Nation newspaper, Obasanjo lashes lawmakers for fixing own pay. The former president of Nigeria, President Olusegun Obasanjo, yesterday fled lawmakers for determining their pay contrary to the constitutional provision that wages of public officers should be fixed by the Revenue Mobilization Fiscal and Allocation Commission. Obasanjo described the action as not only immoral but unconstitutional. He spoke at the 60th anniversary of legal luminary Afe Babalola's call to bar. The event, which attracted a cream of Nigerians' eminent people across profession and political divide, was held at the Afe Babalola University, Ado-Ekiti, owned by the celebrator. Among the dignitaries were former head of state, General Yakubu Gowon, erstwhile Secretary General of the Commonwealth, Chief Emeka Anyaku, Chief Justice of Nigeria, Olukayode Ariwola, Ekiti State Governor Abiodun Oyebanji, Ooni of Ife, Adeyeye Oyewusi, a former secretary to the government of the Federation, Yayale Ahmed, and many senior advocates of Nigeria. And to the rider, Obasanjo lashes lawmakers for fixing own pay.
Alright, this is coming from a Lutz psychologist. Students no longer believe they can pass without cheating. And it's coming from the Punch newspaper with the claim, students don't believe that they can pass exams with hard work. Now that people are beginning to recognize excellence, they always feel that it does not matter how they get it. Our society celebrates people who have made it without knowing how they made it. When we were in the university, we hardly saw people driving cars. But today, undergraduates are driving big cars and nobody's asking them what they are doing. When you ask some of the younger ones, they will say going to school is useless. So cheating is gradually pilfering into the psyche of the young ones, and they think the only way to excellence is when you cheat. From Mesoma's confession, she must have seen our result But that was not enough for her. She wanted to be celebrated for who she was, not because that is what is going on in the society. People are celebrated without putting in the effort. So the answer lies in societal values. Ours is not the only case, and everybody is paying lip service to the larger problem. And from the writer, students no longer believe they can pass without cheating. Lutz psychologists.
Moriri, let me quickly take you on that headline you just read. Now, when we say students don't even want to put in effort before achieving a good result, now who can we put the blame on?
Government and the students.
Okay, the government and the student, because I just agree with what you said, because if the government has put more machineries in place to monitor those activities that goes on within the school premises and things like that, maybe on the course of the exam, during the exam, after the exam, a lot of malpractices would have been caught. And at the same time, I think our society is not really celebrating hard work anymore. If you look at it now, you discover that in the days we used to talk about role model, but now look at what is going on. It's on the contrary. People want to be like those that are spending more money and things like that, but they don't know what those people did for them to have acquired such amounts of money. And if you also look at the political terrain of the country, you see the rate at which our political leaders are embezzling the money. They are not even conscious. They don't even have the consciousness that, okay, Nigerians are watching all those looting, all those fraudulent acts and things like that. So how will this younger generation coming up be able to imitate or emulate any good thing from them? Because if you look at it, the society as a whole, corruption has taken over everything, except we try as much as possible to make sure that we reshape the country, we restructure the country, and they instill discipline back into the society before we can get out of it. I think I agree with what the psychologist said. Let me quickly take this. Or what's your take on that, Morire?
Truth be told that some past leaders who are still living are the architect of all the dooms and woes the country is going through. I see no sense in what one ex-president mentioned at Ado-Ekiti over the weekend, that some legislatures are increasing their own salaries, and to mention a few when it comes to funding on their salaries. My question is this: if truly it can get to them, while they were there in power, what was their significance? What was their own resolutions, or what were the things they implemented? Those policies that they signed into law or into existence, how many poor Nigerians enjoy it, if not the political circle? They kept on recycling their old gongs, their old heads, and their old allies in the system of Nigerian government. They used to be military head of states at tender age, and no one queries them or questions them. After leaving the uniform, they came back as civilians, just like what the immediate administration did. President Buhari, ex-President Buhari, they're all of the same eggs. They have nothing for the country than to continually looting, funding for themselves alone. Sometimes again, he mentioned people are into agricultural in Nigeria and they are aging. Tell me, when you alone acquire what millions of Nigerians should have gained, or should have been enjoying, or should have been living to sustain a better life, only you to yourself at this at this golden age, what is expected of many of these past leaders should be they should be seen seeking forgiveness, seeking God's mercy, so as for them to die a peaceful death. When the late Idiabo was alive, he mentioned that if he and others are not treated the way he said it, Nigeria will remain what it remains. Compare Nigeria of those years, of Idi Agbon's, and now. We attended school, no job.
Exactly.
How many times since your lifetime, Ige, and to viewers watching us, have you heard that NNPC is recruiting? How many times have you heard? I don't think I've heard about it. How many times have you heard that the National Assembly is recruiting new corps members to come and fill up space at their admins? How many times have you heard that the Green Chamber and the Red Chamber have called each representative from each state to bring in fresh graduates? They are going there for their own pocket alone. Exactly. And some people are there deceiving their old grey hairs, talking about a change, talking about a monetary policy, talking about people increasing funds. All of the looted funds that individually they have taken, stolen from Nigeria, where are they taking it to? Where are they taking it to? Nigeria is just a country that we like talking without actions. Days of this former president, you scrapped history.
Exactly.
And you say you are one of the Yoruba forefathers and the likes amongst you. And none of your friends or associates or allies can even tell you, do not scrap this subject. It is a course, its own.
Exactly.
It's just like the normal carnival in Nigeria, that because you are no more in power and you are having differences between you and the camp of those that are at the ends of affair, now you are acting as if you are truly speaking for Nigerians. Nigerians that you have mutilated, you have killed so many generations to come. Throughout the NSAS, we never heard about this former head of state or former president to have mentioned anything. Throughout the maiming of the Fulanis on the Yorubas, nothing came out from this man. And here you are talking about money. Sani Abacha's death should be a lesson.
Exactly.
And the former head of state, IBB, living testimony to what God can do to anybody. Is a living testimony, but power drunkenness. Yes, I'm there. One day.
In case you are just joining us, this is BGI TV Current. Let me go through this. The Nation newspaper. Tinubu targets 30 trillion naira revenue in 3 years. The presidency planned to double the nation's revenue within 3 years. Special advisor on revenue to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu announced the 30 trillion naira target on the television program last night. Zak Adedeji said that the target would be achieved through technology and data without raising any taxes. According to him, non-tax revenue will be the driving force, adding that attention will be given to organized collection in line with the Constitution, which indicate that all collectible revenue shall be channeled into the federal account. He added that the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Nigerian Customs Service, Federal Inland Revenue Service, Nigerian Maritime and Safety Administration (NIMASA), and other revenue-generating agencies of the federal government would not be merged as being speculated. They will have their collection integrated for efficiency and accountability, he explained. Adedeji hinted that there will be a change in tax and finance law of the Federation. When we talk about harmonization of all this revenue collection, the agencies have done their best. But when we begin to apply technology and data, everything will change, the presidential advisor explained. And to the rider, Tinubu targets 30 trillion naira revenue in 3 years.
Alright, my next story is coming from Lagos State. An account holder with the Keystone Bank, Bala Ibrahim, has been finding it difficult to meet his financial needs after an erstwhile manager of a branch in Lagos, let's say, withdraw unauthorized amounts of money from his accounts. And Tijani Saleh allegedly made an unauthorized withdrawal of 5.9 million naira from his corporate account. Ibrahim, while speaking with correspondents, said efforts to get the bank to refund his money proved abortive. Information gathered that Ibrahim opened a corporate account with the bank and funded the account with 20 million naira. Shortly after funding the account, Ibrahim said he was in need of 5.9 million naira to fund some of the projects his company was doing, but had yet to be given a check to withdraw money from the corporate account. In a bid to get the money withdrawn, Ibrahim said he approached the bank manager to advise him on the options to explore to enable him to withdraw the money, adding that the manager demanded the letter-headed paper of his company to process the request. The businessman, however, said things took another dimension when, without his consent, the bank manager allegedly used the letter-headed paper to make an unauthorized withdrawal of 5.9 million naira from his corporate account. Upon discovering that the money had been withdrawn from the account when he requested a statement of account, Ibrahim said he raised the alarm, and the bank, after getting wind of the manager's action, sacked him. He, however, noted that the bank had yet to refund his money despite knowing that the erstwhile manager was responsible for the unauthorized withdrawal. And the story continues on the Punch newspaper saying, with the writer, businessman tackles bank over 5.9 million naira unauthorized withdrawal.
Now, Mori, I believe you'll be interested in this story from the Vanguard. Now, they said alleged abuse of office. Court fixes October 17 for case against Malami, the former Attorney General of the Federation. Now, according to the story, there is a particular man called Mr. Osakwe whose property was taken over by the son, the former AGF, and handed over to a certain woman, Mrs. Asabe Waziri. And now Mr. Asakwe was alleging that the worth of the property that was taken from him was up to like 130 million naira. And he was to hand over the property to Mrs. Waziri. So, and the case is going to come up very soon, which is October 17. And at the same time, we know all the atrocities and all the things that the former Attorney General of the Federation has committed under the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari. It has been something that has been lingering. What's your take on that?
Ex-president or former president Muhammadu Buhari appointed his dogs, and the head of the Budweiser was Malami, to intimidate people, abuse of office, looting of funds, and killing of people. Because when you take away someone's property and when you take away someone's means of livelihood, you have killed that person. Malami should be dealt with. Malami should be queried, investigated, and sentenced. Because Malami acted on so many things, and he felt he's untouchable like a sacred cow. Malami acted out of his office. Ever since the nation has remained Nigeria, an AGF should remain Attorney General, not you serving as a spokesman to the presidency on so many issues, and he was untouched. He was, as in so many times he was asked to refund some properties. He failed obeying the rule of law, and you call yourself Attorney General and a son of that magnitude. It is a shame. Can't he see similarities and differences of Femi Falana's son?
Exactly.
Let's wait until the court resumes on his case, and hopefully we know how to go about the stone to use when the time comes.
Let's also take a look at the story. Here I have Bishop of the Catholic Diocese of Sokoto, Matthew Azankuka. He said a lot, and one of the things he said was that he said corruption's ugliest face was under President Buhari. What's your take on that?
Absolutely, that's the translation. Buhari's regime happened to be the shameless and the most let me say, it is a pity Buhari came 2015 to do the 8 years kangaroo government which he came for with his dogs. Buhari is not to be respected. He brought in hardship, tears, just like what late veteran, the maestro Fela Anikulapo Kuti, sang some years back that said, some decades back rather, they live sorrow, tears, and blood, their regular trademark. Shame to his history as a man. It is a very, very disgraceful time experiencing Buhari to be a Nigerian president. Recently, I learned he went into exile, and later on, his Garba Shehu spokesperson said he just returned to Nigeria from UK after a medical treatment journey in UK. And while he was at UK, he met with Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and asking Bola Ahmed Tinubu not to query any of his appointees. If Buhari is not a thief, imagine, how can you be telling an existing president not to arrest or investigate any of your appointees? He's a thief. He's a shameless man. They have no cause to be regarded as leaders. They have no mind, as in this God-fearing hearts, and they claim they are faithful before their God. And you can imagine Garba Shehu mentioning before they left government house that yes, his principal has no foreign account with money. Even if he's having, will you come out to confess that yes, your boss is having? Imagine that of a Minister for State, Festus Keyamo, that used to be a human rights activist before political appointment. Now he has eaten. He can't even speak about the truth. He was claiming that state's ministry is not even necessary. Then he should return all of the salaries he has earned.
Exactly.
Buhari is a shame to his history, and the wrath of God will meet every one of him and his appointees. Especially Malami. Because Matthew Kuka has explained exactly what Buhari brought to Nigeria. Since this Matthew Kuka we're talking about, fine, he is a reverend father.
Exactly.
And he has known these people we are referring to as former head of state or former presidents in Nigeria. He is an intelligent man. He's been clamoring, yarning about what can bring succor to what is challenging Nigeria today. But no one listened to him. No one listened to him. So he knows exactly what he's saying. Buhari is nothing but a corruption himself. He's a bad man. He's a bad history to the kids already in school today. Because they all experienced what Buhari's regime was since 2015. And to some few months ago that he left the office. That is my own submission.
But let's take another turn. Look at it. Bishop Martin Kuka also said something here. He said President Bola Ahmed Tinubu should take caution about the people that have been coming, the well-wishers that have been coming to Aso Rock. That he discovered and he believed that some of those people that are coming to William Welsh and wishes and things like that, that they are part of the looters that were also involved in crime rates in the past administration. What's your take on that?
He's very right. Martin Kuka is very, very right. Aston Martin Kuka is very, very right. Because many of them going for visitations or greetings or what have you at the presidential villa, they are only trying to go there to cover their mess. And I believe President Tinubu is not a dump. He knows what he's doing. The same strategy he has been using, which he used against the chief of staffs and flushed them out. We should be expecting another drama this very week and this very month. And I'm praying to God Almighty that the visions, the missions, the intelligence of Bola Ahmed Tinubu from cradle till this age, I pray to God to guide him and protect him so that he wouldn't make similar mistakes of the elsewhere former President Muhammadu Buhari, who came to just disgrace himself because he was chosen by men, not by God.
Exactly.
My story again from this side: the family of two brothers, Abdul Malik Abubakar and Ibrahim Abdullahi, have demanded justice after members of the vigilance group shot them in the Bobata Dabi Kwali area council of the Federal Capital Territory. Information gathered that the brothers were sleeping in their room on Sunday July 9th, when members of the vigilance group invaded the premises and suddenly started shooting. It was learned that one of the bullets hit the two brothers in the leg and buttocks, and in the bid to rescue them, the two were rushed to the hospital for treatment. In a video made available to correspondent, one of the brothers, Abdul Malik, while writing or written in pain on the hospital bed, said he was shot because he refused to give members of the vigilance group his phone. And the story again, family demands justice as power-drunk vigilance shoots Abuja orphans, on the Punch newspaper.
Now, Moriri, the visit and the trip of our President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to the ECOWAS Summit of the 63rd Ordinary Section has brought about a double cap. Presently, Tinubu has been appointed as the next and the current chairman of ECOWAS. What did you see to that? And apart from that, he made a promise there yesterday that his agenda and his own plan is to make sure that there is a better future for Africa as a unity, as in terms of the ECOWAS community members. So what's your take on that?
His appointment is not yet a green card for celebration until we have a secure sub-Saharan Africa where there will be total run-off on insurgency, banditry, and the ISIS, the Boko Haram, are flushed out, because these are international elements disturbing the African continent as a whole. And Bola Ahmed Tinubu, appointed as the ECOWAS leader now, shows that yes, they have seen so many things which is embedded in him to dispense as the ECOWAS leaders, and I'm very, very sure, according to his pledge, that we should expect a brighter changes in short time.
Okay, from your end then, do we have any other headline?
We do not have any headline because of time. I can say it's been a wonderful time coming up here this morning, and physically fit, doing my job again, and just another rider without a story, if time permits. 5 suspects nabbed during cult initiation in Lagos hotel. Let me just go through it. Policemen attacked to the Tolu division of the Lagos State Police Command have arrested 5 suspected cult members during initiation in the Ajegule area of the state. The suspects include Peter Odumola, 19, Promise Benjamin, 20, Emmanuel Ikechukwu, 19, Richard Adu, 18, and Abdullahi Nasiru, 20. They were raided. 5 suspect nabbed during cult initiation in Lagos hotel, on the Punch newspaper.
And I believe it has been a wonderful time today on the paper review. My name is Ige Olalekon, and if you really enjoyed today's review with us, kindly join us on another edition for tomorrow.
Bye-bye from my side, and have a wonderful time. Mori Rebila Lawal is my name.